How are you programming your mind this week? Are you making it intentional? Let me know in the comments what you're reading, what you're watching. How are you programming your mind? This week, I dove into a new quest with Mindvalley, and the quest was Conscious Parenting Mastery with Dr. Shefali. All right, I did ask a question on the community section of my channel, what you guys wanted to see, and a lot of people found that this quest sounded interesting. So of course I dove into it, and it was one of the quests that I've been waiting to dive into myself. So what is conscious parenting? Conscious parenting is the middle ground from east to west, as Dr. Shefali puts it. She says a lot of parents don't want to put in the hard work in meeting their child in the middle. So a lot of times we go through parenting and we're just giving commands. You do this because I said this, but not really getting in tune with what that child really wants or what that child's energy is really saying. And this quest, of course, is led by Dr. Shefali, and she is a clinical psychologist, and she is renowned. She's been on Oprah, and she's been in a lot of places. You guys should know, when you go into these Mindvalley quests, these are people that are top of the class in their profession. So with this quest, we are not shortchanged. Dr. Shefali has several accolades, but if you want to check this out for yourself, make sure you check in the comment section and description of this video if any of this sounds good to you, and you can go check it out for yourself. With my link, you get 50% off a Mindvalley membership, so make sure you check that out. To give you guys a little more insight about this quest, I'm going to go over the first few days of Conscious Parenting Mastery with Dr. Shefali. So day one, we go over a lot. We'll go over a lot with Dr. Shefali, so much I got 2 pages of notes from day one. And it really breaks down what this quest is all about. So the first thing she asks us to do is to set out our intention. Just what are you actually trying to get from this quest? You write it down so you can know your intentions. And I would like to say, if you are a parent and you're not a single parent and you want to go through some of these techniques, make sure you share it with your other half, because if you get some of these techniques and start to implement them, and you're not on the same page with your partner, it could be a little bit of disconnect. But again, I would recommend you sitting down, going through some of these together, because some of the exercises that you do with this quest, they really can tell you a lot about yourself and your significant other, and you'll see what I'm talking about as I go through. So Dr. Shefali says that most of the time parents are the ones that need work. A lot of times when you're getting mad, or if you're having an argument with your child, right? A lot of times we revert to that child's level. And what she means is, think about an instance where your child is mad, fussing, screaming, and you scream back. You yell back at the child to stop yelling, right? That's you reverting back to your, childlike nature, because we all have that inner child. And I hear this a lot too, as I keep going back over all of these manifestation and these Mindvalley quests, and just a lot of times people say we all have that inner child, but oftentimes parents aren't thinking and they revert back to that, and that's where you start to have friction at. She says most parents suffer from that parent ego. So a lot of times traditional way of thinking is you do what your parent says regardless, no question asked, and you give that parent that authority, and that parent is going to make sure they assert that authority. You do this just because I said so, right? That is the traditional way of parenting. She says this way of parenting is revolutionary, and it gives you other tools you can use instead of just that yelling or you do this because I said so, and not really doing the work. She says this oftentimes is the parent being lazy. Like, most parents have a great time or have no problem when they can just yell commands at their child and their child just jumps and does it, right? She says this is lazy parenting. Parents aren't really trying to do much work. Is do this now because I said so. You're not really seeing how that child feels and things of that nature. So she gets that out the way the first day, just to let you guys know that this is something different from the norm. She calls it revolutionary. So I want to stop here. Some parents may not think that's the way to go, right? So if some of those traditional ways of parenting are what you're striving for, this quest may not be for you, and you might not want to waste your time. Right now, if you're a parent that knows or have experienced that a lot of times that traditional way doesn't really work or resonate with every type of child, and you're looking for something new, this quest might be right up your alley. She goes on to explain that this transition is not going to be easy, and it's going to take some work on the parents. She says a lot of the work that we do with this quest is going to be, parents really looking at themselves in the mirror and trying to heal themselves and their inner child so they can really deal with raising their kids. So she says that parents' inner childs need to be raised up. Oftentimes, that's the main issue that she finds with her clients. And I know it might sound like she's beating up on parents, right? It's not the case. She goes to break down that, most of us were raised the traditional way, right? Most parents were kids that were raised up the traditional ways. I know I was. And it's some of those traditional ways that may not work that we kind of use because that's what we've experienced. So we try to really project that onto our kids and try to do things the way we were raised. But sometimes that doesn't work. And she also says that a lot of times most parents want their child to complete themselves, not really build on the child, but they want the child to complete themselves. You're going to see what I'm talking about later on in another lesson. But she says traditional parenting and parenting before us, again, your parent, grandparent, they weren't implying this conscious parenting. It was unconscious parenting that has been leading the way for years and years, right? Unconscious parenting. So she says like 99% of people, not just parents, but people need to go through some type of healing of their inner child, because the old ways were, you do this, you do that. You might even, go to hidden children. All of that was accepted for years. So a lot of times everyone needs a little bit of inner child healing. She also points out a heavy statistic that 1 of every 3 children in the U.S. are diagnosed with some type of anxiety disorder. 1 out of 3. She just points this out to say that we all can improve. And if you need help with parenting, don't worry, you're not alone. Again, that's 1 out of 3 kids are diagnosed with some type of anxiety disorder. So she ends day 1 with just asking parents to write down their intention for going through this quest. What do you plan on getting out of this quest? All right, now we're going to day 2. Day 2 is titled Myth 1. Parenting is about the child. A lot of times people like to say parenting is about the child, but she breaks it down. She asks a simple question at the beginning. Why did you become a parent? And she says most of the time when parents answer this question, it has nothing to do with the child. Right? Most parents answer this question, why did you become a parent? Because they had some inner desire of having children, having a little mini-me having some type of child, or they have some type of idea on being a parent, what their child would be like, those type of things. That is all based off what the parent thinks. The child isn't even there yet, right? So she just wants parents to realize that most of the time parents become parents because of something they wanted. I don't want to say selfish, but it's most of the time some desire that we had as parents to be a parent. Most of the time, if you actually got a chance to plan out, parenting as you should have. I know a lot of times people don't get to plan out parenting, but if you planned out parenting, you already have in your head some type of vision of what your kid will look like, what are the things that you want to do with your child, places that you want to go with your child, being a family. You already have that in your head. So that is definitely something that the parent wants. So she says, like, a lot of times we have to switch up this vision on what parenting looks like in our head, because that vision, we're not really taking into account the child at all. So again, that's why this one is called The Myth. Parenting is about the child. It doesn't start off that way. And she also asks us to think about what is your dream child, right? When you're planning parenting, your dream child, think about everything. As I just said, you can picture your child doing this on the football team, on the basketball team, being a movie star, being a rock star, being smart in school, getting A's and B's. You can already picture that. So because we picture that, of course, we project our thoughts onto our children. Sometimes that's not a bad thing, because you want to get them to do well, but she just wants parents to recognize this. Once you recognize this, she wants to acknowledge that you're courageous for recognizing this, and to understand that having these thoughts and these beliefs and trying to push your kid in certain ways is not anything bad about that. It's not a weakness. She just wants you to recognize that from going through this quest, you're going to start to be aware of when you're projecting what you think and believe in your quote unquote secret agendas onto your kid. She talked a little bit about it in day one, but servitude, she said some people would be happy and have no problems with their children if they were just basically being servants, obedient, do what you say do, and things like that. She just wanted to make us aware that most parents have these thoughts, so you shouldn't feel bad, but now you will be made more aware of these thoughts. On day 3, the patterns we inherit. We talk about how most of the things that we do are patterns that we learned early on in life, and she wants us to be able to pick up on these things, the good and bad. And she wants us to understand that our children are sponges and they notice everything. And so much so that oftentimes what our children truly think, they will replace what they think with our beliefs, especially early on. I know that for a fact. So it's really important that we are conscious about what we're doing around our kids, because they'll quickly pick it up. You know that. You guys know that. If you are a parent, you know how quick that thing that you say all the time, next thing you know, your son or daughter is saying that all the time, and they got it from you. They are sponges. And on this day, we are really asked to look inward. We're asked to look at how we were raised and our past patterns from our childhood that might arise every now and then. Of course, she breaks it down a little bit better than I can explain, but that's why you gotta go check out the quest. And on day 4, we really get into another myth buster, and it says good parents are natural. So on day 4, she just really breaks down that parenting is one of the only things that you can get involved in without prerequisites. So most professional jobs, you need some type of course. To drive a car, you need to have a license. To get married, you need to have a license. To be in your profession that you're in now, you probably had to go through a whole lot of different trainings to get there. But parenting, you can be a parent like this. Two adults consent, they spend a little time together, short-lived time most of the time, and then next thing you know, they're parents without training. So she just wanted to bust this myth open that, parenting comes naturally. So no parent should feel ashamed if parenting doesn't come natural. On day 4, when we get a small taste of some of the things that she will be teaching us, she says she will teach us how to really get in tune with our child's energy, right? Be aware of the nonverbal energy and body language of our children. She's going to teach us how to really take the time, stop, get a breath, and actually see what's going on by being conscious with our parenting. But the key to conscious parenting is presence. Being present and noticing all the little things that you didn't notice before. And the best way to do this is to actually be present. She says being present is all we really need to do. Again, easier said than done. When a lot is going on, it's hard to really focus in. But when you're conscious about everything that you're doing and conscious about what's really going on with your child and noticing it, she says most parents just want to know what to do. And it's easier said than done, but basically you have to live in the moment and show up as the best version of yourself for your child. So you have to do a lot of inner work to do this. And at the end of day 4, she gives us the task to go and observe our child after we have now set out the intent to be present and really realize what's going on. She asks you to observe your child, and to do this, you're going to have to slow down. You're going to pay attention to your breath if you get mad, things like that. And she wants you to journal it. And on day 5, she's finally going to teach us one of the first skills in this quest, and it's the projection pause. But I'm going to have to stop here because I didn't go through that just yet. So these are some of the things that Dr. Shefali is talking about in this quest. If any of these things sound good to you, make sure you check her out on Mindvalley. Again, the link is in the description and comment section of the video. And I'm going to keep going through this quest to let you guys know if I really found it to be beneficial. But so far, I'm liking a lot of the ideas in this quest. So if you want to learn more, make sure you come back and check me out. Peace.